Hi, my name's Malcolm. Welcome to Chop and Hack Golf. I haven't made one of these videos for a while now because one thing I've found while I've been making them is that doing the shooting for them is fun, but the editing really sucks. But I'm excited about the one that I'm doing today. I'm doing a blind golf ball test. I normally play the Taylormade TP5. Now, I think they're a really good ball. They're my preferred ball, but are they the best ball? Do I play them just because of the players who play them or the marketing hype around them? So I thought the best way to decide if this really was my favourite ball was to do a blind golf ball test. So I've got a Taylormade TP5, Bridgestone Tour BXS, a Snell MTB, the Srixon Z Star, a Callaway Chrome Soft, a Titleist Pro V1X, and a Volvic Vivid XT. I know I could have gone with the S4, but I thought I'd go for something a little bit different since it's still a multi-layer ball. And I've also got a Foremost in the golf ball test as well. I ran out of them to use on this clip right now, but they are a multi-layer ball, but they're very cheap. I got them for $10 a dozen, and I just wanted to see if I'd be able to tell the difference between that super cheap one and these more premium ones. How I ran the test was I got my daughter to mark up the golf balls, so I had no idea what golf ball I was using. And then I did tests around the course. I did putting, chipping, pitching from 50 and 100 yards out, a 7-iron and also a driver. The scoring system worked like this. That a first and a last would beat 2 seconds. Now, it might seem a bit strange to score it like that. You'd think, surely consistency would beat such high and low scores, but just ask Phil Mickelson if he would give up all those second place and have a whole lot of missed cuts in just one US Open win. So that's the way I scored it I have. With the putting, it goes purely on feel. It's the same thing with chipping, just purely on feel. Pitching and the 7-irons, it was a combination of feel and how quickly I could get the ball to stop. And then driver once again just down to feel. We'll start off with the results for the durability. And first equal place is Taylormade and Bridgestone. Now I've got the balls facing the camera with their most scuffed up sides, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera very well, but on the Taylormade there's barely a mark, just a little scratch above the Taylormade logo. And the Bridgestone, there's just a little scuff there on the face. Titleist was very close with just a slightly bigger scuff just above the Titleist. Srixon, once again, it's very close, not much difference between the two. Just that slightly longer, larger scuff next to the Srixon logo. Snell was next. It had quite a few scuffs, I can only show the one face though. Callaway had quite a few scuffs, including this rather large scuff there. And the Volvic wasn't actually scuffed up too much. You might just be able to see just on that line that says Vivid XT, there's just a little mark there, but it yellows up so quickly that it ended up down the bottom of the rankings. Now the mystery ball, the Foremost, isn't there because I ran out of balls to test it with, but I'll end up giving it an average mark somewhere in the middle. And then we won't know if this will make any difference to the results until we tally them all up, because at this stage, for the balls that I did the other test for, I still don't know which one's which. So what do I look for in a golf ball? Well, if you imagine your golf ball as a potato, the way you test a potato to see if it's cooked or not is you put a knife into it. If you have a potato that hasn't been cooked at all, you try and put the knife into it, it won't go in. That's that hard clicky ball. I don't like those ones. Now if you overcook the potato, it goes completely mushy, the knife goes straight through it. Those are those really soft, dull sounding balls. I don't like those ones either. My Goldilocks zone is the par-boiled potato. You put the knife in, it slides in easily through the outside, and then you have a bit of resistance in the middle. That's what I like with my golf ball. So it's got a bit of firmness to it, but it's not clicky. Here are other results for the putting. In first equal was 5 and 6. They had a nice soft feeling to them, but with a crisp click. In third and fourth was 1 and 3. They were slightly harder feeling, but still pretty good. In fifth equal, I guess it is balls 2, 4 and 8. They were getting slightly clicky. And then runner right down the end of the field is ball 7. It was just too soft when I was putting it. It had a really dull sound as well. Right, here are the results for the chipping. In first was 6. In second, 8. Third, 5. Fourth equal were 4 and 1. 4 I would call your sports streaker, because it came out with nothing on it and it just wouldn't stop for anything. Then dropping down to 6th, because we had some in fourth equal, was 7. In 7th place was the number 3. This one was quite interesting because it seemed to have a higher trajectory than the other balls. Maybe it's got a little less spin on it than the other ones. And then in last place was number 2. So now we come to the results that had a combination of performance and feel. So I gave 60% of the score performance-wise and then 40% feel-wise. So you're going to see some funny numbers on the table. But the results for the 50-yard pitch in first was the number 1, but it was slightly clicky sounding. Second was number 8, that had a slightly dull sound, still not in my Goldilocks zone. And third was 6, but had a lovely perfect soft click to it. And fourth was 5, and fifth was 7. It had a very unique sound. It's like almost a hollow sound to it. I quite liked it. Out of all the golf balls that I tried, this had the best sound to it. In 6th place was number 2. That was really clicky, and at this stage I'm starting to lean towards the feeling that number 2 is the cheap foremost ball. In 7th place was number 3. Once again it had quite a high loft compared to the other ones, and also really spongy feeling. And in last place was number 4. Once again it didn't have very much spin on it. The results for the 100-yard pitch in first was 6, second was 7, third was 8, fourth was 2, fifth was 5, sixth was 1, seventh was 3, and in last place was 4. Right, so here are the results for the 7-iron. In first equal was 7 and 8. In third place was 5. In fourth place was 4. In fifth place was 1. In sixth place was 6. In seventh place was 3. And eighth place was 2. One thing I have to say about the ball number 3, it seemed to go a bit longer with the irons than the other one, both with the 100-yard pitch and the 7-iron shot is about half a club to a full club longer, so this might be a good ball to use if you're searching for a bit more distance. Doesn't stop overly quickly, but it does go a little bit further. Now the results for the drive. Just before I give these, I was going to do a combination of performance and feel for the drives, but I found that if I hit a ball really well, it would go equally far. If I hit the balls badly, they would go equally far, so I thought I'd just bring it back down to feel. The results are: in first place was 7, second place was 4, third place was 1, fourth place was 5, fifth place was 6, sixth place was 2, 7th place with 8, and 8th place with 3. 8 and 3 being quite soft and spongy feeling with the driver. And once again, this ball number 2 felt really clicky, quite high pitched, and a horrible sound to hit with the driver. Right, so here's the results table before we add in the durability. So before we know what ball's what. In last place with 33 points is ball number 3. I just found this ball too soft for my liking, and it didn't have a great deal of spin around the greens. In 7th place was ball number 2 with 45.4 points. For me, I put my money on it that this is the foremost, the cheap one. Quite clicky, quite hard feeling. In 6th place with 135.8 points is ball number 4. In 5th place with 202 points is ball number 1. In 4th place with 278.8 points is ball number 8. In third place with 288 points is ball number 5. Fractionally ahead in second place is ball number 7 with 289 points. And first place by miles was ball number 6, 427.6. So before I add in those durabilities, you would have to say that whatever ball number 6 is, that is the one that I should be playing, because it had the best feel and a good performance as well. So we'll reveal what ball is what and then see what difference that makes to the table. Right, so this piece of paper in my hand has been sitting in my drawer for ages. I've resisted the urge to look at it, but I can now finally look at it and reveal what ball is what, and then we'll make the adjustments to the table and see which is my preferred ball. Taylormade was ball number 5. Callaway was ball number 7. Srixon was ball number 6. Titleist was ball number 1. Foremost was ball number 2, as I predicted. Snell was ball number 4. Volvic was ball number 3. And the Bridgestone was ball number 8. Now the thing that surprised me was, before I revealed these, I would have put my money on ball number 6 being probably the Titleist actually, and I would have guessed that ball number 1 would have been the Srixon. My presumption was that Srixon was a clicky ball, a hard clicky ball, but from the test that I've done, the Z-Star is actually a really good feeling ball. It may have just been that the Titleist was the Pro V1X. If I'd gone for the Pro V1, then maybe this might have changed the results a little bit. Let's have a look at the table and see which is my preferred ball now that I know what ball is what. Right, so I've made the adjustments for durability, and it didn't make any difference at the top or the bottom. So for me, Srixon is my preferred ball from a blind golf ball test. Taylormade came in a fairly close second, and hot on its heels was Bridgestone. But I would happily use any of these balls. Some of the balls might be more of a winter ball, so the Snell, the Foremost and the Volvic I would probably call winter balls. Where I play golf, it's quite boggy and wet in winter, so we don't need a lot of stopping power around the green at that time of the year, so those would be the balls that would be more likely to use when it's wet and you don't need the stopping power. Those cheaper ones, where you don't really care if you lose them either. But there we have it. For me, I thought Taylormade was my preferred ball. It nearly was, but Srixon won out in the end with a bit of a surprise for me. Why didn't you have a go at doing this? Because one thing I noticed is that when I was having a go at this, if I hit these balls by themselves, I'd probably think that they all felt fairly similar. But when you hit them one after the other, there can be quite a big difference in feeling. And if feeling is a big choosing factor for you when you choose your golf ball, this might help you choose the golf ball that you actually prefer rather than the one you think that you prefer. That's all. Thanks.